It's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. And before I forget, big shout out to the channel sponsor NoGi, BJJGear.com. Go check them out. Use my discount code Ramsey10 for a 10% discount off everything at NoGi, BJJGear.com. On with the questions. I have two questions, and I apologize because I don't remember who sent me these. But they've been floating around in my head for a while, and they might seem like unrelated questions, but I'm going to relate them. The first question is, Ramsey, what do you think of all those people who tell you that martial arts will build confidence in you? Because I took a bunch of martial arts classes for many years, and I still feel like I lack the confidence to approach somebody and talk to them and look them in the eye. I learned how to fight. I didn't learn how to have intrapersonal communication skills. And the second question, Ramsey, what is the greatest martial arts movie you have ever seen? All right. I'll answer the first question with the second. The greatest martial arts movie I have ever seen. You probably never heard of it unless you've had a similar life experience as I have. It's a movie, a short film called The Phone Call, starring Mark McClure. Mark McClure starred in some major Hollywood films such as Superman 1, Superman 2, and I think Superman 3, maybe Superman 4 as well. Anyway, back in the Christopher Reeve era of the Superman movies. He also starred in a couple of the Back to the Future movies as Marty McFly's brother. And, he's got a bunch of other respectable film credits. But young Mark McClure did this short film, which was funded by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, called The Phone Call. And the funny thing, the hilarious thing about this movie has absolutely nothing to do with the church, nothing to do with religion, nothing to do with any of that. It's a story about this awkward kid.
Oh, it's a bassoon. It's like a balloon with S's. Isn't that I only weigh 26,000 grams?
Grams?
They sound bigger in the metric system.
Who lacks confidence and wants to learn karate to fix that so he can ask out a girl. Okay. And I love this movie so much. You can watch it here on YouTube in its entirety. The Phone Call with Mark McClure. Go check that out. Watch that movie if you haven't seen it already. It's pretty short. It's like less than 20 minutes long, I think. But oh man, it's hilarious. It's fantastic. It was made, when was it made? Like late 70s, early 80s? I don't remember. People dressed like it. They dressed like the 70s back then. Bell bottoms, afros on white guys and stuff like that back then. But it's a fantastic, fantastic movie. All right, I'll give you a breakdown synopsis. So Mark McClure plays a character named Scott. And Scott is a nerd. He's a wimpy nerd. He's a paper boy. And he is in love, madly in love with the girl next door, who, of course, he lacks the courage and the confidence to talk to. He can't even talk to her. And he's trying to build up the courage just so he can give her a phone call, just to talk to her on the phone and ask her out. While looking through a magazine or a comic book or something like that, Scott sees one of those old-timey advertisements for a mail-order karate class. And the advertisement says, "Do you lack confidence? Learn karate." To which Scott looks up in the air and he's like, "Do I lack confidence? Do I ever?" But he doesn't have the money for the karate course. He's not making enough money as a paper boy. So he gets a second job. And he's a hustler. He's getting out there. He's working hard, right? He gets a second job at this burger shack. But in the movie, there are two employees who work there. There's Scott and his coworker, Becky, who's been there for a while. And Becky's a girl about his age. She's an attractive young woman. And she has a boyfriend who is a big jerk and a bully. And I don't remember the boyfriend's name. That's going to be bugging me. Anyway, Scott's not too concerned about that at this moment because he's in love with Becky. He's saving up the money to get his mail-order karate course. And he finally gets the money, finally sends off for that course. It comes. he's practicing breaking boards and stuff, and it turns out his mail-order karate course is basically a bunch of bullshito. It's a bunch of crap, but yeah, man, that's what a mail-order karate course would be. So Becky and Scott have a lot of conversations about his goal, about how he's lacking confidence, how he's in love with Pam and just wants to be able to call her on the phone. And Becky says, why don't you practice with me? You can practice calling me on the phone, and that'll help you build up the confidence. So Scott calls Becky. They have one of the most awkward conversations ever. Becky's like, I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to hang up. And anyway, they meet together at work, and Scott, in an uncharacteristic gesture, invites Becky to come with him to a dinner dance. He's part of the band, part of the school orchestra, and he plays the bassoon. What's a bassoon, you may wonder?
It's like a balloon with S's.
Instead of L's. Yeah, that's the type of humor that Scott uses in this movie. So, Becky agrees to go to the dance with Scott, as a friend. They're not in love. They just have an amicable, friendly work relationship. But Becky's jerk of a boyfriend finds out about this. He comes to the burger shack and he's like, Scott, you get out here. We gotta talk. And he threatens Scott with some physical violence. You call off that date or else. And Scott's like, in all fairness, I must warn you, I have trained my body in the Eastern martial arts. And the boyfriend bully just runs Scott down into a pile of boxes, and Becky later dumps her abusive boyfriend, and not for Scott. She's not interested in him. He's a nerd. He's a dweeb. He lacks confidence. But they go to the dinner dance. They have a good time. Scott introduces Becky to one of his friends, one of his nerd friends in the band, and Scott starts feeling confident enough to have that phone call. But he's still very nervous, so he asks Becky to accompany him to the phone booth. That's an old-timey thing where they had telephones before cell phones, for all you young folks out there who are not familiar with antiquated technology. And he dials the number. They actually had dials, spinny-turny things on the phones back in those days. Man, I was trying to explain this stuff to my own kids. They were like, dials? Phones that didn't have videos on them? That all you could do was talk to people? What? That's crazy. Yeah, I know, according to YouTube analytics, a lot of you are probably chuckling like, that's stupid. Why would you have to explain that to anybody? But you know what? There are people young enough to not remember these things. I have to explain these things to my own children. Anyway, Scott goes into the phone booth. He's nervous. He's like, okay. But he finally makes that phone call. And he asks Pam, his dream girl, out. And, yeah, the movie kind of ends. There are some jokes in there. And it's awesome. It is awesome. It is awkward. It is strange. It is amazing. It is the greatest martial arts movie ever made. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why. It is because, just like that first person who sent me that question in about confidence and martial arts, this movie tells you in no uncertain terms that in order to get good at a specific activity, you have to do that activity. Practicing karate makes you better at karate. Practicing bullshido mail order karate makes you better at bullshido. Practicing talking to people makes you better at talking to people. Now it's such a weird movie for so many reasons. Like I mentioned, it's a movie made by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I first saw it because it was included in this collection of spiritually themed short films made by the church, like religiously themed films about the worth of souls. Okay? And this movie was an oddball because it stood out. It was like, this it doesn't have anything to do with Jesus or scriptures or anything. It's just a really, really funny, entertaining movie that just happened to be funded by the church. starring Mark McClure. And, oh man, it's mind-boggling in its hilarity. A lot of people compared Napoleon Dynamite to this movie when it came out. And there are some similarities in the protagonist. He's a guy with a curly, weird afro on his head, and he's goofy, and he's socially awkward, and so on. But yeah, man, The Phone Call. Go watch it. Check it out on YouTube. It is amazing. It is amazing. By far, my favorite martial arts movie. There's really only that one fight scene, and it falls flat in the fancy fight choreography department, but it is incredibly realistic in what actually happens when people with that level of training are met with that level of opposition. We rise to our level of training, my friends. And if your goal in taking a martial arts class is something other than learning martial arts, that's not the best way to go around doing it. It's not the best way to go about it. If you want to be able to talk to a girl, to have the confidence to ask a girl that you like out on a date, the best way to do that is to ask that girl out. And you know what? The worst thing that will happen is she'll say no. And you might feel embarrassed. You might feel like, oh, I lost my chance. Oh, no. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Well, you know what? If she didn't like you in the first place, she's not going to like you after your endless bout of courtly love, looking at her from a distance. Oh, she's such an angel. Oh, I love her so much, but I can never speak to her. Oh, woe is me. Save yourself the trouble. Just go talk to her now. And if she says no, guess what? You just gained valuable experience to help you out next time. And then you'll have more confidence to talk to other humans. You might think, but then I'll be scarred for life and I'll be more afraid to talk to another girl. Boo-hoo! Man up. Man up. That's the message, the underlying message of The Phone Call is man up. Mark McClure's character, Scott, he's goofy, he's a nerd, but he does a lot of things right. Sure, he takes a mail-order bullshido karate class that ultimately doesn't help him, except for to give him a reality check about what works and what doesn't. But you know what he does? He tries it out. Unfortunately, he tries it out against a real-life bully who runs him down. And he learns right away, yeah, that's not the way to go. That's not the correct course of action. What else does he do right? He works. The value of hard work cannot be overstated. Guys, it cannot be overstated. Take, for example, the original Karate Kid movie with Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita, and the remake with Will Smith's son. I'm blanking on his name, right? The remake. The main reason that the original is better than the remake, and will always be better than the remake, it's not the acting, it's not the cinematography, it's not the setting, it's not the fact that the remake is called The Karate Kid, and it's about a kid learning Kung Fu in China as opposed to karate from an Okinawan karate master. He's learning Kung Fu from Jackie Chan. It's not even that. It is the fact that the original Karate Kid taught the principle of work. It taught the true principle of work. The crane kick, for example, the move that Daniel-san uses to win the tournament. He didn't just pull that technique out of his own butt, throughout the whole movie. As soon as he sees Mr. Miyagi doing that technique, he's like, I'm going to practice that. And so every day he gets out there and he practices the crane technique day after day. Hour after hour, he logs some serious time practicing that technique until when competition time comes, he's able to do it. And it's a goofy scene, it's a goofy technique, but it's a true principle. you will be able to do the things that you practice. And in the remake, Will Smith's son, he uses this crazy flippy back kick, a backflip kick to win the final tournament that he has never once practiced before. Ever in his life. And he pulls it straight out of his butt. And it's garbage. Again, not because of the acting or the setting or even the fact that it's called the Karate Kid and it should be called the Kung Fu Kid. It's because of that part right there, this unmerited superpower that he did not work for, that he just pulled out of his butt. And that's bad storytelling, that's bad writing, and it's false information. It's not a true principle. That's a lie. That teaches us a lie, that when push comes to shove, we'll just go on autopilot and do something we've never ever practiced before. That's not how it works. So the principle of work taught by the phone call. Yeah, fantastic. The principle of practicing talking to people, because throughout the movie, Scott is practicing talking to his coworker Becky. How do you get good at talking to people? At building up the confidence of talking to girls? By talking to girls. Whoa! Mind blowing. Yeah, man. That's it. So why is The Phone Call the greatest martial arts movie ever made? Because it teaches the greatest martial arts principles. And it's awesome and it's hilarious and I love it so much. And it makes me laugh even more as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as a Mormon, that this movie was produced by the church. It's amazing, man. It's amazing. It's like the last thing that you would expect. The last thing that you would expect to come out to be produced by the church. But there you go. There you go. The Phone Call. Do yourself a favor. Go watch it right now. I believe the whole movie is shorter than this video that you just watched. Thank you for watching. Now get out there and train.